Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. Before we begin, I'd like to make a few announcements. First, we are proud to announce that Sabbat the Schism is officially out now. Not only does it delve into the history and lore of the sect, it opens up multiple role-playing options for fans of the game, including new playable clans, elder level powers, and much more. You can find your own copy of Sabbat the Schism in the link below. Second, I'd like to thank RS Experiments, aka Mark, our local musical talent, for graciously providing the custom music you've been enjoying so far, including our awesome main theme song called Haven Dweller. If you enjoy any of the music used during the stream and you'd like to hear more, you can find a full library of Mark's work by clicking the link below to RS Experiments' SoundCloud page. Lastly, if you enjoy tonight's session and you'd like to see more, be sure to follow both our channels. You can catch us live most Sundays at 7 p.m. CET by tuning in to twitch.tv/RSAGames, or check out all our recorded sessions at RSA Games on YouTube. Links below. Remember to like, subscribe, and be sure to leave us feedback and suggestions in the comments below. We hope you enjoy the session, and without further ado, let us delve into the world of darkness in tonight's episode of Vampire the Masquerade Beyond Armageddon. So, we join Jack as once again he's received a message from Jonny with an address. He drives down the roads of East LA, allowing the buildings to pass him by, the lights to shine the reflection on his car. And eventually, Jack begins to approach the address. A small pub, where right at the front of it, among the people drinking and talking, he can see a puff of smoke coming from the recognizable human chimney that is Jonny. Jonny spots Jack's car and gestures with his cigarette. And as Jack stops the car to allow him to enter, Jonny steps inside, tosses his cigarette to the ground, stomps it, and closes the door. As Jack begins to drive, Jonny greets him. How you doing?
Okay-ish. Yeah.
Oof. Been better days. But you know how it is. Job's a job.
Job's a
So,
job.
tonight, apparently, we're supposed to get you a specific book.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the person who has it is rich as fuck, and we're going to have to break into one of his vaults to get it.
What's the name of the guy?
Some Strider.
That's good.
Why the laugh?
Well, because I want not one book from him. I want them all.
All right. Well, might be a bigger job than I thought then, if that's what you want.
Well, Miguel kind of. He deserves either retirement or the raise. Not sure which one yet, but someone has to take his place, right?
Suppose. I mean, from what I hear, Strider isn't exactly the cleanest sort. And as Jonny says this, he takes the pack of cigarettes out of his jacket, knocks one of the cigarettes out of the pack, and starts lighting it.
Well, let's just say he's probably as bad as one Jeffrey. And I'm not talking about Bezos. So,
Well,
you know, good old quality La Sombra training.
if you can keep your shit together. I'm aware that you lot have to be kind of careful with that sort of thing.
Oh. You know, some minds can be manipulated pretty well.
I guess.
Especially if you know where to hit.
Regardless, we're going to this address, and he essentially pulls up his phone, puts up the GPS, and places it where you can see it. Um, the idea is that we go to this area, and apparently that's one of the venues where one of his underlings operates. Apparently, someone who has information we need. All we need to do is capture him and bring him back to a safe place. Now, the haven you currently use doesn't have exactly a spot for interrogations, I'd say.
We can probably use previous interim haven.
Sure.
Can you message Serena and ask if I can borrow her space for a bit?
Yeah, you send in the text, and that can be handled in PMs. And as you send the text over, Jonny basically leans back and says, "You know, I'm getting a bit tired of LA.
Yeah, the city is not the greatest.
It's nothing to do with the city. It's more to do with some of these people. I mean, when was the last time you went around LA at night and met with someone who didn't want someone else dead, suffering, or broke?"
That was closer to, I don't know, 30s, 40s?
Sooner than I expected.
Well, you told me if I ever seen one, who doesn't want someone that, well, there's always Isaac, but he's way out of the fucking norm.
I mean, way I hear it, Isaac isn't exactly a saint either.
Well, he's not, but recently, well, before Attack on Santa Monica, he wasn't really in, I don't know, murder spree mood.
Okay, so you don't know a lot about Isaac then.
Not really.
The man used to burn people alive. You realize that?
His Angelus Ether, I would probably understand it. Some people deserve to be burned alive.
I suppose that's the logic that ends up with you lot just murdering each other.
Well, what'd you expect? We live for too fucking long for our own goodness. We have petty squabbles that sometimes can be worse than a fucking world war. And yeah, there's not like a lot of generational change because we don't fucking die of old age.
Actually, I should probably show you something. I have to forward it from somewhere, but one sec. And he starts messing with his phone. And you drive for about 30 more minutes, slowly making your way through downtown, keeping an eye over your shoulder. And eventually, Johnny pulls up his phone and puts it on the dashboard. And you see a video taken from what looks like a spot for a hidden camera, like clearly in the middle of vegetation, with a view to a park. And in that video, you see Isaac pacing from side to side. His right hand constantly, touching his face, clearly signs of discomfort or stress, constantly engaged in self-soothing behaviors. And eventually, another figure approaches. They speak for a few moments, and it's really hard to make out what they're saying. But eventually, you basically just see Isaac turn around as if he's like pondering something. And they continue speaking. And in one very smooth motion, Isaac takes one step, turns to the guy, lifts his hand up, and there's this distorted effect on the camera. And the next frame is the guy where the guy was standing, just a pile of ashes on the floor with bits of black fire slowly going out. And Isaac very clearly closing his hand. He shakes it a bit as if, cooling down his hand after touching hot water. And then turns around and without much of a second thought or pondering, just walks away. And as he's filmed walking away, the footage basically goes down as if someone just quickly turned the camera off.
When was it?
About, I'd say, a decade ago.
He's probably a lot older than that. And believe me, if a demon was screaming in your ear at least once a week, you wouldn't really be a calm guy.
I mean, sure, but if a demon is screaming in your ear at least once a week, maybe you shouldn't be alive right now. You know, kind of a
That's
fucked
why
up
we are
position
not.
to be in.
We are undead, and he didn't really choose to be like that.
Yeah, I didn't choose to be like I am either. I'm sure a lot of you would say I'm too dangerous to keep alive.
You're fine. Just, you know, consider not being Tremere 2.0.
Fuck do you mean by that?
Well, Tremere, allegedly, was a fucking mage who turned vampire, went batshit, and, you know, started hunting Zemisi, making gargoyles, and a fucking conventional thorn. Tremere apparently is a fucking clan who wiped out other clan. You know, Cainite history. Fun shit.
Tumultuous as ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't plan on taking any powers from any of you. Don't worry. Either way, we should be pretty close. Once we're in there, remember we have to keep things civil. Having a shootout in the middle of downtown is not an option for us.
True.
So we have to persuade him to come with us. Or if we're taking him by force, we need to do it covertly.
That's also what I can do.
Okay, cool. Should be just up ahead. And as you look at the street you're driving through, eventually you turn the corner and you see this quite nice looking hotel. Decently high end. And as you park the car nearby and begin heading to the hotel itself, you notice that before you leave, Johnny reaches into his belt, takes his gun, and places it in the glove box before closing it. He checks his pockets, and after doing so, exits the car and accompanies you inside. As he approaches the front of the hotel, he leans over and says, "So what we're looking for is the manager, essentially the staff manager. We don't need the CEO of the place, just the manager, okay?"
Sure.
Take the lead.
I'll walk up to the registration.
And as you do, the lady at the registration puts the phone she's on down, looks to you with a smile on her face, and says, "Welcome. Do you have a reservation?"
I'm here on a bit different matter. I really need to talk to staff and manager. If you won't mind helping me, and I'm gonna try and use my vampiric persuasion on her. That is manipulation leadership.
Okay.
Persuasive applies?
It does.
Oh,
There you go. Oh,
yeah.
for some reason it's 1 second. We have some technical
okay.
difficulties. Apparently I was up in the chat and I'm not sure why. There we go.
It's okay. It's at least 3.
It is
At least
indeed.
2.
So, as you focus on these words and impose your will on her mind, she looks to you and her eyes sort of glaze over, and she says, "No problem, sir. I can arrange for a meeting. He's not currently present in the building."
You can tell me where he is. I can drive there.
I can call him and try to arrange for that.
Would be good. Just please try to make it tonight.
Of course. She dials up a number and begins calling. And as she speaks over the phone, Johnny seems to lean on the counter, sort of observing the exit of the place. And he leans to you and says, you know, if we manage to take this guy, we'll probably have access to the vault. But if you want access to most of Strider's stuff, that's something we can eventually work on.
Well, I have a couple of ideas.
Something I can help with?
Probably.
We'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
And as that statement finishes, the lady puts the phone down and says, unfortunately, I cannot give you his address, but he will be in the building in about 30 to 40 minutes.
That works for me, I guess. I'll be outside. A little bit of smoke.
Of course. And I was told that any drinks you wish to have while you wait are on the house.
I'm not much of a drinker, especially when I drive, but my friend here, he's not driving.
You say this sort of gesturing, and when you glance in Johnny's direction, he's not there anymore. He's at the bar.
And he's quick at that as well. Is smoking permitted inside, or I should inform him about that?
We do have a smoker area, but if possible, outside would be preferable.
No problem.
As you say this, you sort of glance at Johnny carrying 2 drinks over to one of the tables. He places them down and then starts looking around. Eventually, his eyes land on you and he motions for you.
I will join him at the table.
Mm-hmm. By the time you reach the table, Johnny is already sat down with his drink, and he reaches into his pocket, taking another cigarette.
Not here. They kindly asked to smoke outside.
Fine. He places the cigarette back in, pockets the package, and takes a sip of the drink. You know, a place like this could be a cool business to have. I mean, always useful to have access to a bunch of rooms that you can use for whatever you want.
Why do you think I am in real estate business?
Good point.
Because land's not getting cheaper, house is not getting cheaper.
Very true. And I mean, it's not like you lot care much about the prices that are imposed on the population, right? It's not like you have to pay them in full like everyone else.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not like we have to, I don't know, pay inheritance taxes.
Very true. I wonder if it's possible to eventually take over this hotel. Because if we do manage to take this hotel, we might actually have a foothold in downtown. A proper foothold.
Well, if we if we get our grubby hands on Strider.
I'm sure, but here's a bit of a secret. Strider owns most of the shit he does, mostly to keep profits. Whatever goes on inside those businesses ain't really under his control. Doesn't really pay much attention to it. So if you want to do stuff in those buildings, it's not like Strider himself can make that happen.
One more reason for him to be more disciplined, I guess.
I suppose, but like, you don't make that much money by being hands-on, you know? Essentially, what he's doing is siphoning a bunch of money from people who do the actual work.
Yeah. But mortals are very enjoying of Vita, you know? You know.
I guess I do.
And at the end of the day, good base of domination still works.
I suppose. By the way, I hope you're not thinking of using some of those mind powers to just get the manager to join us in our car.
Why not?
Well, because it would be pretty weird for you to ask for the manager, and not only does he happen to show up when you ask for him, not only does he clearly go against orders he's pretty much given that girl at the reception not to bother him while he's out. He'd join you in a car immediately?
Well, if Strider doesn't know what happens in this building, I guess there should be a room.
Yeah.
Good enough.
See, that we can work with.
Yeah.
But doing it here in the
I
lobby
don't
might be a bad idea.
Well, a bit of chat is not really detectable.
No, but, well, from what I've read about this guy, he's a bit of a dick. Would be very weird if he was very amicable towards you and decided to join us in the car just because we had a little chat. In fact, if I had to guess, first thing he's gonna do once he gets here is berate that girl for even calling him.
That might be true.
Strider hires people that think like he does.
Well, we can still talk in his office, and I can suggest to him very what the fucking word?
Convincingly.
Convincingly, yes. That he should go to a place he knows nothing about. And, you know, East LA, shit happens.
Yeah, good idea. Also, there is one thing that Master Vicus wanted me to tell you to keep in mind. So, we're after this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being after the book doesn't quite mean that the lesson is about what's in the book. The lesson, apparently, is that learning things should be more important to you than what it takes to learn those things. Now, fuck me if I agree with that. I think it's a load of shit. But Master Vicus is teaching you. They're not teaching me. So I'm sure you can decipher the information yourself.
Learning is more important than the way to the lesson. I guess.
let's see how it goes. And as Johnny begins taking another sip of the drink, his eyes sort of turn to the door, and he does this sort of head movement, gesturing towards the door. As you turn to look, you see a man in a suit, and I need you to roll me perception empathy or perception etiquette. And those will give you two different bits of information.
So empathy for like what's his emotional state, and etiquette for like how much money he's worth.
So empathy will gauge his general, demeanor, his emotional state, what he's about to do. Etiquette will give you a sense of stuff he's done wrong when preparing himself to come here. Like what he's prepared to actually do once he got here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with etiquette. Careful place.
Yes.
Good. Oh, much.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so as he gets in the building, there are a few things that catch your eye. Number one, you notice that while he's wearing a very, very fine suit, he wears the suit, the coat's unbuttoned, the shirt's not pressed exactly. It seems like he got dressed in a bit of a hurry, not expecting to come to a business meeting or anything. You notice that one of the buttons on his shirt is buttoned wrong, as in the top button on his shirt is like one buttonhole lower, yeah. Sort of giving his shirt this crooked look, which means he probably got dressed in a hurry. And another thing you notice is that once he gets in, he puts an earpiece on as he goes through the door, even though he's about to talk to someone. So it's not like he cares about people saying things to him. He's here to talk. That's the idea that gives you. Given his clothes, given his general demeanor, you'd say he's here to... whatever he's here to do, it's going to be quick. He's going to deliver the message very clearly to whoever he's here to talk to. And then he plans to just go back to whatever the fuck he was doing before.
Well, if he heads to the registration, I'm probably gonna cross him halfway through.
Okay, well...
He goes to us.
He begins heading towards registration, and as you get up to sort of get in his way, he doesn't even really turn to face you. Do you actually get in front of him, or do you just try to interact with him?
Do I know his name?
No.
I'm gonna just like intersect him. Yeah, hi. It was me who asked for a meeting, if you don't mind.
Of course. How can I help you?
Can we talk in your office? I don't really like a lot of...
In a moment. Space. Let me just fix something. Apparently I wasn't really clear on a few things. Apologies. Continue waiting. Drinks are on the house. I'm sure you were informed of this. If she's doing her job right. I will be with you in just a second. And after sort of talking over you a bit, he sidesteps you, and Johnny just sort of comments under his breath. Charming guy, isn't he?
I note while I inspect him for any naughty stuff.
Okay. What do we...
Perception empathy, but with a purpose.
Clarity, please.
Demonian.
I see.
That'd be 6 dice.
All right.
Oh my god.
Very, very fucking good. This is the session where you actually get shit done.
Yes.
So as you look at him and you focus, this voice begins to flood your mind. And it says, difficult character to piece together. Not very intelligent, but I can tell you that his ambitions have no limits. The only thing he seems to regret ever in his life was not fucking over Strider badly enough that he's now in that position. Morals are interesting, aren't they?
Slightest nod and sink into my demon link. You see, you can be a good angel if you want.
Make a courage roll.
It's the fucking session, Jack. Dice. Oh, it should probably be -1 dice.
No.
Humanity 3.
What?
I have Humanity 3.
In that case, yeah, you can only roll 3 dice. So roll one more, we'll remove the closest value. Hey, look at that. So you sort of become, as you say this quip in your head, and expect to just move on and, get what you want to do done. You sort of feel this pressure all around you. And for a brief moment, you become incredibly aware of all the mirrors in the room.
Motherfucker.
And while you manage to sort of hold yourself together, this does make you slightly nervous for a few moments. And then you manage to snap out of it. But it's this moment where you feel like you're surrounded by things you can't fight, things you can't see, and then the moment is, you shrug it off.
Noted.
Jonny basically, as soon as you say that, Jonny turns and says, "What?"
Never mind.
Okay.
Just kind of realized how many mirrors are here.
Don't worry. None of them are pointing your way. And no one's going to pay attention.
I still don't like them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Alessandra afraid of mirrors.
Should I erase this memory out of your head? You see.
And as Jonny makes this, lighthearted joke, you see his head turn to the front desk, and his jovial demeanor immediately, drops. And as you look to the front desk as well, you see essentially the manager, behind the desk, really, really close to the the woman at the front desk, essentially talking in her ear, while she basically sits in the chair, arms pulled together, legs pulled together, looking down, nervous as hell. And after he's done, he just stands up, starts leaving, and you begin to see tears welling up in her eyes.
That wasn't really cool of him.
Things like Strider.
I'm not saying I'm... Okay, let's just say I have a long fucking memory and a bad fucking temper.
I'm not gonna feel sorry for whatever happens next.
Well, immediately, not really much. But if he wanted to fuck Strider so much over, well, he might get full Strider treatment already.
Fingers crossed. Shall we?
Yes.
Yep. And both of you begin to walk towards the manager. The manager looks to you and just gestures to follow him. He goes to this quite long set of stairs and begins walking up them. Following him, he leads you down a corridor, past a door that says staff only. And after going through, he turns and opens a wooden door, very well decorated, and enters this office space that is very spacious. And despite it being an office primarily, clearly it has a lot of area to lounge and to read and to do other things. So it's not a place where he doesn't spend all that much time. But definitely it's designed to be an office. As in, as soon as you finish your work, you do whatever the fuck you want and people leave you alone. He sits at his desk and gestures towards the chair in front of him. Johnny simply stands at the door and says, "Go on, boss."
I'll sit in a chair, leg on the other leg, like a certain dominance.
So, why did you call me here?
Well, I wanted to talk with you.
Mm-hmm.
We all want and need stuff from others.
I'm sure you do, but as you understand, I'm a quite busy man. You don't run a business like this without being, well, constantly working.
I'm a man of business myself.
Regardless, I would ask that you make your business here brief, as I do have other things to attend to.
Very well. You are going to join us in a different spot in about an hour. Not telling anyone where you're going. And then we can talk, and I'm gonna mesmerize him using willpower.
Mm-hmm.
Running low on this shit. Manipulation, leadership. Persuasive applies, or not really?
Well, you're just giving him an order, so no.
Okay.
Well, is persuasive is in manipulation, right?
Manipulation. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't apply here.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So you impose your will upon his, and he looks to you and says, "About an hour?"
You can take a bit less, but just so it's not assumed that we are going there together.
Fine. I'll just have to dismiss some of the horrors, if you don't mind. Now, leave on. Go on. I have a few phone calls to make.
I write him an address. Butcher.
He doesn't really.
Butcher shop.
He doesn't even look at the address. He just allows you to leave the address behind, and he immediately takes his phone and starts making calls.
Is he around?
The man does not really respond. Johnny opens the door for you, and as the two of you leave and begin exiting the hotel, he just leans over and says, "I told you, Strider hires people who think like him."
That's true. So if we crack this motherfucker, we kind of know how to crack Strider. Now, I have a suspicion that this lovely register lady is probably gonna be workless. So if you wanna comfort the recently fired lady, I have a couple of places you can use.
Well, you think I'm homeless or something?
No. I'm saying you can have a fucking fling with her.
Nah, it's all good. I think
I mean, enjoy it.
I think the troubles are a bit worse than that. And as both of you leave the hotel, you glance behind to basically see the woman packing her things onto a box.
My humanity is probably at the point of not caring anymore.
Okay.
It cared enough, for Johnny, go ahead if you want, but I don't know. I don't really have work for her.
Yeah. So you basically look
even
at
Serena new blood bag is I don't know.
So you basically look at this woman and you can't really muster much energy to care. You sort of tell yourself, oh, that's just how the world works. And you
the best I came up with is for her at least have a good night with Johnny. So he doesn't want that.
Yeah, and as you begin to make your way to the car, you catch Johnny's glance at her, looking fucking distraught at seeing someone in that position. And as he goes to the car with you, he sort of says, well, wish her the best, I suppose.
As I said, if you want to take her out on a nice date...
Mate, that's not gonna help. She doesn't want to spend money on a date. I can't afford to take her on a date. And you know what? I think she would really, really like to have a source of income right now and not be under the thumb of a dickhead.
Man, I fucking rent places. I don't really need her help. The best I can do is give you money to take her out on a date.
Jesus, Jack.
Jesus,
he just
long ago.
After he says that, even though you keep talking, he just walks towards the car. He gives you a glance of like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Fine. Abrams, he's in a fucking Hollywood. If you want, you can take her there. Maybe he finds, I don't know, City of fucking Angels. We have problems here in Hollywood.
Tell you what, how about this? At least I'll go there and I'll give her my phone number. And I'll arrange for something.
You take her phone number, and if you want a date, I have fucking money. Just don't
I'm not
provide
taking her on a date. I'm helping her look for a job if she wants to call me.
Sure.
Just start up the car. And he quickly makes his way to the hotel. And then a few minutes after, he returns.
In the meanwhile, I'll drop a message to Abrams. If you get a decently pretty girl asking for a role in a movie, consider her at least.
Abrams, actually, do you have Abrams' contact?
He messaged me after I
He did.
got his delivery for Liliana.
Yeah. So, you send him a message and he says, which pretty girl and what are you willing to give me in return?
I'm helping a quote-unquote friend, and she got fired from pricey hotel from downtown.
After a few moments, you get a message of send me a picture or a description of her, and I'll consider it.
Yeah, Johnny probably returns by that. You got her name or something? It's probably somewhere on social media.
Jade?
Last name?
I didn't get a last name. We literally just met.
Name badge?
I can give you her phone number.
Is she leaving the building already?
She is.
Yeah, I'll snap a pic and send to Abrams.
Mm-hmm. And as you do this, if you look to Johnny at all, he seems to sort of be messing with his phone. And afterwards he pockets it and says, right, should we just go to the place? And as he says this, he takes out a cigarette.
Yes.
Cool. Drive on.
And I'll drive.
Mm-hmm. And as you drive down the road, approaching the area of the butcher shop, we will take a brief break. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. And we'll join our other pack members. See you soon. We return as thumps can be heard echoing through the fridge in the butcher shop. Jack's fist rests at the side of his body, covered in blood, as he continues to interrogate the man tied to the chair. Johnny smoking behind him and watching all of this happen.
I told you, I need this fucking book. Now it's up to you if you wanna fucking die or you wanna fucking live. What's not up to you is the book getting in my possession. Am I understood?
The man spits out one of his teeth and says, I give you that location. I'm dead anyway. At least this
Yes,
way
you
I
are
can tell
probably.
you to fuck off.
Oh. Well. You know, for someone who wanted to fuck Strider over, you're clearly not trying hard enough. And I fuck him.
Yep. As the next punch lands, you hear this very dry crack, as if someone just snapped a carrot in half. As the guy grunts and sort of looks to the floor, and you see blood dripping from his face. And as this happens, you begin feeling this odd sensation, and I need you to roll me perception awareness.
Mm-hmm. Careful or...
No.
Okay.
Awareness, not alertness.
Yeah. I have both it too. Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
get it.
So, as you begin feeling the sensation, it's almost as if the feeling of loss coming from a broken vinculum, something you've recently gotten very accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it's different somehow. It's more of a slow burn, more of a gradual increasing feeling of impending doom. And as it begins to build up, all of the sudden, it's almost like a snap, and you get this sinking feeling in your gut that you need to do something to prevent it.
Fucker. Johnny messaged Serena. Tell something happening to someone. I just grabbed this motherfucker by the jaw and like, give me the fucking book. I'm gonna use dominate on him probably countless fucking time over this.
Yep. Johnny puts a cigarette in his mouth, takes his phone and begins texting Serena. And as you tell this guy to give you the book.
Jack, your phone buzzes.
Exactly.
Oh my fucking god.
Johnny takes a few steps forward and says, "It's fine. I'll finish with him. I think you
Do you?
fucked him up enough. He still needs teeth to answer the questions."
That's true enough.
I'm gone.
You convincing enough for him?
I got cigarettes and I smoke a lot. He looks like a good ashtray. Go on.
Yep. I'm off. Message me if you need me.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm a drive like a fucking madman.
Yeah, as you begin to run to your car, the feeling does not get any less intense. If anything, it builds up more and more and more. It's almost as if you have this growing sensation of we're about to lose another one.
I call Larry.
Yep.
If Serena knows, and he probably should know too.
Larry, your phone begins to buzz as you soar through the skies.
I pick up the phone. Yes!
You also feel like shit right now?
On my way.
Good. Serena?
Probably she's going there too.
Good. I'm gonna be there in as fast as fucking possible.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna do something that's not good for the new pass. I'm gonna risk.
You're gonna take multiple speeding tickets. Oh.
I don't give a fuck about them.
Oh, man.
Camera doesn't recognize my face.
Motherfucker gonna bring the whole fucking platoon of cops on his ass.
We're in East LA. They don't give a fuck about us.
So you can roll wits and drive. Let's see how long it would take you to make that drive, actually.
Sure, sharp
take
as in...
around. Oh wait, no, you were in. Butcher shop was up here, right? So it'd take you.
Here.
Wasn't it our hotel that was up there?
No, I was beating the guy in butcher shop.
No, I meant like, where's our hotel, by the way? Like, you're in penthouse.
Hotel was like somewhere here.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you'll probably beat me.
It's fine. It's fine. That's fine. I just need to get a general estimation, and it would be like about an hour, a bit more than an hour sometimes. As you're driving, and speeding, at one point, you do hear sirens, being turned on behind you, but you manage to turn a corner and then another one, and you essentially lose the police that are chasing you down. After passing under one of the bridges, you slow down to match the speed of all of the other cars around you, since you're getting closer to your destination. And just as that happens, a helicopter passes above you, and while the light goes over your car, it doesn't stop at it.
Okay, that means that's fucking bad.
You eventually begin to approach the address, and Serena is already there, pacing next to her car.
What the fuck is going on?
No idea. I'm going to text Jim. Where is he exactly?
You send the text in, and again, the feeling is still building up. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. But there's no answer.
Okay, are we at the address that he named?
Yes, which is a somewhat remote area. Seems to be a small, not a butcher shop, but a butcher, like a factory farm, I think you'd call it. It's essentially a meat packing plant where, you send in carcasses, they're chopped up.
I guess time to sneak in.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll go ahead. Obfuscate it.
Okay, well,
Tell
just
Larry...
just to add something. As you're having this conversation, eventually you feel the wind around you move quite suddenly, and you see Larry lowering himself onto the ground.
About time.
What's going on?
No, I did. Jim
No
sent his
fucking idea.
address, and this vinculum link is telling something is bad. We need to get in now. Are there any police or anything around?
None whatsoever.
I saw a
Okay, good.
chopper, but
I'm going to get in obfuscated and look around.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see what's going on, okay? Larry, you can maybe see how many people there's in a building. And Serena looks to Larry, waiting for him.
Can you describe the building once again, Miguel?
So the building is quite large. We're talking about, let's say...
hundreds of square meters. Hundreds of square meters?
Yeah, about that. It's shaped sort of like an L when seen from above. It has a parking lot here, and big area here, big area here. It seems to have an area where trucks would stop. There would be a garage gate open and they would be loaded. There's also an entrance for workers, and it looks like it's a slaughterhouse. That's what it is. And it looks like there's also another area with very, very few windows, but one of the windows seems to be shattered, and in the process of, apparently it got shattered for some reason, and you can smell from there a vivid scent of blood.
Vitae or blood?
Can't tell the difference.
That's bad.
I mean, Serena might be able to tell the difference, but it's risky if it's Vitae.
Nah.
I like the feeling that we got the impending doom. Is it the same as the day we lost Titus, or is it
It's the same
much more
type
subtle?
of it's the same type of feeling, but instead of being this shock that you're getting, it's like
It's like gradually
growing and growing and growing and growing, and it grew out of nothing. It's very like gradual, and it seems to be rising and rising.
And where we are right now?
You're outside the slaughterhouse.
I'll go like into shadowy spot in on the parking place and like try to feel what shadows can tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, no shit. I'm going inside.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Not gonna fill the building.
Okay, so I require.
I don't wait for no bitches.
Okay, so I require a roll of perception.
I'm a bit stealthy though.
Yeah. So I require a roll of perception, awareness from Jack, and from Larry, I need a dex and stealth. Serena, you're going in obfuscated, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So from you, I need dex and stealth as well. Just give me one moment.
One success
Careful
on perception.
Careful does apply. One moment.
One success on perception awareness.
5, 6, if it's by 6. Okay.
1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7 successes on dex plus stealth.
You motherfucker.
Well, motherfucker, I got the skin of the chameleon.
It's so if it's by 6, I've got fucking
Okay, so
6 of them.
I still need Serena's roll. There we go.
4.
Okay.
3
So-
successes.
Larry, what's your entrance point?
I feel like the truck unloading zone,
Okay.
like the gate.
Okay.
Just
Well,
sink through the wall if needed.
okay. Serena, what's your entrance point?
What are the options?
Well, you could try and pick the lock on the front door. You could try and enter through the broken window. You could try and...
Broken window.
Okay. And so, Jack, as you approach the shadows and you sort of feel the reverberations, the shadows reveal to you a few points of interest. It's hard for you to understand what they are exactly, but a few points of interest near the back of the building. Inside the building, but near the back. Potentially near where the near one of the rooms close to, in that L-shaped corner, the corner of the L. There's not just one point of interest, there are multiple, they're just all in that area. Serena, as you begin to go up the wall and you carefully make your way inside through the window, looking around, you see an absolute massacre. There are people who used to be armed with guns, but right now it's just bodies upon bodies, all spread out. You look around the area, and I need you to roll me a perception investigation. As Larry, you sink through the wall trying to stay hidden, and as you enter the loading area...
Does discerning apply?
Yes. As you enter the loading area, you look around, and you see the same situation. It's an absolute slaughter. There are people that were drained of blood. There are people who had their arms ripped off. It's an absolute massacre. And I need you, Larry, to also roll perception and investigation. So Serena, as you look at the scene in front of you, yes, I know. As you look at the scene in front of you, first thing you spot, all of them are wearing these very non-worker clothes. Now, you don't really delve much into those areas right now, but you'd wager either these are civilians or criminals. You'd wager criminals. And looking at the weapons that they have, spread around the room, most of them are either empty, mostly empty, or without magazines at all, even though their owners probably had some stored away.
So, like, their bullets got taken away by whoever killed them?
Either that or the bullets were shot. Larry, as you look at the bodies, while you don't quite catch this detail about the weapons, you do manage to recognize a few of the gangster uniforms and a few of the tattoos. These people, you've seen some of them work with Arturo.
My God, their heads intact?
Some of them. Some of them have partial heads. Some of them have intact heads. Some of them have no heads at all. At least attached to their bodies. You could probably find the head somewhere.
Okay. Can I... So I'ma boost up my hearing with all specs to maybe hear someone breathing.
Okay.
Someone's still alive.
So make a perception alertness. In the meantime, Jack, what would you like to do?
I would use Shadow Plan myself to be a bit sneakier and sneak along to the place where the fucking points of interest are, quote unquote.
On the outside of the building, or do you want to go through the building?
As close as I can get on the inside.
Okay.
On the outside and then just through the inside.
So you go around the building. You find no resistance, really. However, as you begin to reach the point of interest, you see two shapes that sort of shimmer as they walk away from the building and then vanish in thin air. The shapes look like people, but it's really hard to tell since one of the shapes was very almost made of smoke, almost as if it was tenebrous form for you. And the other shape was barely human. it was humanoid, but barely human.
Shoot. By the height, looks close enough to work in. Or not really. Okay. I'll remember what I can about them.
Mm-hmm. I'll send you some deets later. Larry, as you perk your ears and try to listen to any activity within the building, you hear two sounds that catch your attention. In addition to the many sounds you'd expect to hear in a place like this, dripping of blood, sounds of pests running under the floor, sounds of bits of machinery, chains clinking together due to recent activity. You hear one sound of someone breathing quite heavily and clicking something, like a as if it's like constant press of a button. And another sound you hear,
horrified.
and another sound you hear is the sound of what can only be described as a dog gnawing on a bone.
The same direction or different?
Same direction.
I'm gonna rush up there full on.
Okay. Serena, as you examine the area, you look around and you see that the area you're in is sort of this line where you'd basically hang the carcasses on hooks and they'd go down this production line, get chopped up, ground, whatever it's supposed to do. And at the end of the room, you spot Larry hunched over, and he sort of looks a bit foggy to you. You recognize this power as being sort of the same thing he uses to fly around. And this sort of foggy shape of Larry carefully moves towards the back of the building.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Well, first I'm gonna like really listen to what's going on in the building
Mm-hmm.
with my aspects.
Mm-hmm. Perception alertness. Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 successes.
Okay. So you hear the same sounds I described to Larry.
Sorry, I missed those. Can you? Sorry, I forgot what those
It's okay.
were.
It's okay. You basically hear heavy breathing and like frequent clicks as if someone's clicking a button.
Mm-hmm.
And then another sound that sort of catches your ear is the sound of a creature gnawing on a bone, still with flesh attached. That's basically what it sounds like.
What about cameras around the area?
You look around, you do see a few cameras still recording.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so because there's those cameras, am I currently inside of any of those cameras?
I mean, let me make a roll. You look around, and eventually you do spot one of the cameras that might have you in its field of view. That said, it's a bit of a give or take. You might not
Well,
be.
first of all, I'm going to like go to a location where I'm not in view of cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to activate my office kit again because,
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to proceed to the back of the building, avoiding being in sight of cameras, to where the sounds are coming from. And
Okay.
if needed, I will basically use so I will basically use my sword to break a camera if it's like if possible, and if it's going to be like
Yeah, it's totally possible. You essentially go up to the wall, and with pressing your foot against the wall, sort of lunge yourself up, and you manage to hit the bottom of the camera with the blade and cut the wires on it. And as the wires get cut, the light on the camera goes off.
okay.
Uh,
That is what I wanted to do anyway. And yeah, basically I proceed to go to that back, provided that I'm not like visible on the cameras.
mm-hmm. And you continue making your way to the back of the building, being careful not to be taped. And as you approach the back of the building, Tony or Jack, what would you like to do?
I would try to get inside and like make my way to the corner that was highlighted by the shadows,
Mm-hmm.
if it makes sense.
You look around the back and you find this door that usually would be locked. It seems to be like a fire escape door. The door is wide open.
Sneak inside.
Yeah. So as you move inside, what you see in the room. First of all, on the other side of the room, it catches your eye. You see Larry, essentially opening the door to look inside as well. And Serena, you'd be reaching the room at about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And as all of you enter the room, what you see is that this room used to be something. It's really hard to tell what it was. That said, the reason why it's hard to tell what it was is because of the setup that has been, put in place to replace whatever the room used to be. There's a cage with what looks like a dead woman inside, bits of her skin missing. There is a small setup near the wall where you have a series of machines, all of them sort of working on bits of skin to do different things. Against one of these tables, where the machines are, is one guy holding one hand on his neck as you see bits of blood seeping through, with one hand raised and constantly clicking the trigger of his gun, producing clicking noises as he breathes heavily, looking terrified at the corner of the room. And as all of your attentions are pulled towards that corner of the room, you basically see the faint black and white suit of Jim, inhabited by what used to be Jim. This animalistic shape that ravenously tears at the neck of one of the corpses on the ground. And as it snarls, eventually it snaps his head away from the corpse and it sniffs the air. And then its head turns slowly to look at all of you. And you basically see Jim, his fangs out, his glasses broken, and marks of bullet holes all over his body, with one huge cut on his face, damaging one of his eyes. And as this cut begins to slowly close, it's almost as if there's no Jim left in his eyes. And that's when it sinks in, the feeling. It reaches sort of an apex that it's almost like there's someone squeezing your heart. As Jim screeches in your general direction, and he turns to Jack and begins sprinting.
Fuck.
I'ma
I'm
strangle this motherfucker. I'm quicker. I'm stronger.
Okay.
Wrap around him. Strangle him. Just fucking take his arms and put him on the
Get it.
ground.
Try to dodge him.
Okay, so let's handle Jack's reaction and then Larry's action. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Jack,
Oh my god.
you may roll
Dex
Dex Athletics. Yeah. Okay. So you manage to take a few steps back as Jim attempts to grab at you. Some blood from his hand splatters on your suit as he chases after you until you sort of almost instinctively reach back and just push one of his machines over, and it lands in front of him, which prompts Jim to jump back and screech in your direction. And as soon as he does that, Larry, please roll me Dex and Brawl.
Coming right up. Lightning reflexes apply.
Yep, this was
Dirty
basically it.
fighting apply.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we got 10 dice in this muff.
Oh, my
And he
no.
rolls 2 ones.
1, 2, 3. Two successes. No diff, bro. No diff.
all good,
10
it's all
fucking dice.
I was all good on intelligence, and then when it came down to business,
the difficulty
yeah.
the difficulty is quite low since Jim is currently preoccupied. So essentially, Jack, what you see is as Jim screeches in your direction, Larry essentially wraps his arm around Jim's neck and pulls him back, trying to restrain Jim as much as possible. His arms remain free as Jim's, swaying and rapid swings sort of escape Larry's grasp, but Larry's arm is firmly holding Jim's neck. And Jim is absolutely savage and unrelenting. It's a direct opposite to everything you've experienced from Jim so far.
He succumbed to Vassail. That's fucking bad.
Save the last survivor. I got this one.
I look at the guy with a pistol. He looks like he's
Serena-
over again.
Serena starts walking towards the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And as she approaches him, she's gonna break his neck. He's seen too much.
Okay. You approach him. The guy still looking terrified. His gun now pointing at you, still clicking. And as you approach him enough, you just sort of slap the gun out of his hand, grab him by the chin, and with one quick motion, you hear a crack and the guy falls on the ground.
Then I'm going to get my sword and approach Jim.
Why did you do that?
Because he's
Larry's
seen
not
to.
consequential right now.
We could have questioned him.
Do you not
That
see what
much
this
is
is?
true. But
I'm going to first deal with Jim. Well, with the white. That's not Jim anymore. That's just the white.
He can still provide some use.
What?
He can still provide some use to us
He can't.
Well.
That's a white.
of Clan Toreador. You know, presence.
Oh. Well, that is true.
Surprised you didn't go for his neck first.
I suppose it is better than wasting the blood.
You
Indeed.
continue talking as
I'm
Larry.
going to the embark.
You basically just feel Jim swinging wildly and trying to escape your grasp.
I'm
It's not
going
as
to
stronger
grab-
than you, but he's wild, essentially.
I'm going to eat Jim.
Okay. So I need you to do two things.
Yeah.
First, I need you to make sure that this is something you want to indulge in, and I need you to rationalize it for me, so I see if you need to roll conviction or not.
So the rationale is that Jim is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a white now. And Jack does have a point. Like, he does have some useful, to reader things. And it is better than just wasting blood. And Serena's still not quite sure, basically, at which position, is Jack in his past training, because he's just literally just started. So he could still be pretty much low humanity. And she remembers basically how it was for her, that, it got pretty close. It got pretty close. So if he's still learning it, he should learn it, and, then he'll be able, to do things with less risk to his sanity, because we already have one white at a hands. And she knows that Larry's on humanity, so for him, saving the blood is also not an option. As for indulgement and so on, it's like, sure, maybe the beast is gonna indulge in it, but for herself, it's it has absolutely zero value. It's sort of, when you're super depressed, even the drugs don't give you anything really anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
so in her perception, it's basically just it's at least keeping some of Jim. It's literally just his blood, because Jim is gone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, as you approach him, you won't need to roll conviction for this specifically. However, I will need you to roll courage, because this growing feeling, clearly it's the vinculum struggling with the situation. But
2 successes?
yeah. But regardless, what you
Wait,
feel...
Yeah, 2 successes.
Yeah. So, regardless of what you might feel rationally about the situation, the vinculum still causes you to almost instinctively recoil from even the idea. And Jack and Larry, both of you are heavily struggling with seeing Jim like this. Whatever happens to him now, whatever it is, caging him up, killing him, diablerizing him, whatever it is hard to see Jim like this. And Serena manages to push past it, but the feeling is still extremely emotionally aggravating.
Yeah. So, as she approaches, she just looks at Larry, who's holding Jim. Well, what's left? The white. It's not Jim. She doesn't. She knows pretty well what is this situation, what is this condition. So she wouldn't dare to call this husk Jim. Because this husk no longer cares about anything that Jim cared about. It's his only instincts. And as she looks to Larry, she says, Jim is gone. This husk is not Jim. There's nothing of him left inside. Nothing that wanted to experiment in the ways that he did. Nothing of him that wanted to dress you up. Nothing of him that wanted all of us to look fancy in his other ways. This husk only wants to feed, sleep, and destroy.
I care not about the shell that was left of this person. What troubles me is your eagerness to kill those who could be of use.
He was, The silence of blood must be kept.
And questioning
will
doesn't
discuss
seem
it
rational
immediately.
now.
Around yourself. Look at the machines. Look at this place. It's easy to guess what this is. This was
It
Jim.
is not.
It is. It was Jim's little.
And who attacked?
I might have a suspicion.
A suspicion, but we didn't see
Yes,
anything, and the
Dave.
only
You didn't, I
eyewitness
did.
remaining is dead.
Look, there's plenty of dead bodies over there for me to look through.
To find claw marks and
No.
missing limbs?
No. To use aspects on it. Duh. And Serena bites into Jim. She
Okay.
still needs to check all those, and there were police, so
Okay.
there is a lot of potential to clean up.
So, as you bite into Jim's neck and begin draining him, you don't have to make any rolls, since he can't possess you, really. And you already are addicted. So you almost, as you begin draining him, it's almost like there's a relief from this pressure that has been building up from your addiction. It's been a fucking long time since you've had a fix. And you keep telling yourself, but I'm not indulging. It's just utilitarianism at its best. But it's really, really difficult to ignore how utterly free this feels. And Jack and Larry, as you see Serena draining Jim, eventually Jim's hands sort of at first they were scratching at Serena's back, then they stopped, and eventually they just drop. And as they do, Serena removes her fangs from his neck, and his arms begin to decay.
I keep my eyes peeled open.
Mm-hmm.
Probably at this point I know about studies it as part.
Yep. Make a so Jack, you make a in the background wits and occult roll, and I will bring that information back after the session.
Do I gain any discipline powers?
You probably do. I'll have to double check. Is it okay if we handle those after the session?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I will go searching for the fucking surveillance room where the data recorded is in.
So Larry, you put Jim's remains down, and as you lower Jim's body, it's almost like he begins turning to dust in your hands, and eventually you don't even get to rest his head on the floor. You just see the body, fall to the ground in dust. And
I'm going to
attempting to shake it off, you go searching for the security room.
I'm going to basically look through. So in this room, what
Just
are the most silence of blood breaching items, people, corpses?
I mean, most of the bodies are torn apart, not shot, so that might raise some questions. Not to mention Jim's little setup. While not entirely supernatural, it is
Yeah,
incriminating. Someone would
we
want to
need to
put.
burn it. We need to burn it.
Yep.
not
But
with Larry inside.
well, yes, of course. But we do need to burn it soon.
Can you have a look?
For what? Look what?
And I'll hear
Looks at
memory.
Memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I look into his head.
Yep.
I'll bring up the memory of those two figures living.
Mm-hmm. So, Serena, you see these flashes as if they're your own memories. And you see your body in a suit going around the same building you're in right now. And as your blood-covered knuckles brace against the corner, you see two shapes in made almost of pitch black darkness just fading into nothing as they leave the area.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to look through Jack. Okay. Those figures remind me of anything, Miguel?
Roll me int occult, and
Books and art supplies?
yes, and you roll that, Larry, eventually after searching a bit, you move one corpse aside to open a door, and as you open the door, it's a small room attached to essentially a recording setup and a number of screens that most of them seem to be on, and they show parts of the building, so you seem to have found the security room.
6 successes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Serena, while you're not an expert in the matter, these shapes remind you of the ghosts that pestered you.
Shades.
Yeah. Well, specters.
It reminds me of those specter ghosts. The one that harassed us, that type.
Oh my fucking god.
So we know.
Well, there are 3.5 culprits in the town. Our good friends, our better friend, our
I have a suspicion it might be Delmont.
familiar friend, and my familiar friend. So yeah,
I think Delmont is most likely behind this.
I wanna wrap his fucking neck around the pole and fucking yoink.
We will. You need to get us something to burn these bodies.
Well, it's a meat plant, so they probably have a industrial grinder.
As you speak about this, both of you hear a faint buzzing noise.
I look for the phone. That's going.
You look around, and the body Jim was training seems to have a light coming from its pocket.
You or me?
I'm gonna take the phone call.
Mm-hmm. So you take the phone, you look at the screen, and the call seems to be from someone registered on this phone as Jefe. You take the call, bring it up to your ear, and at first there's a bit of silence, and then you hear a voice. Well, is it done? Make a quick wits and investigation, please.
Do I
Yeah.
hear the voice?
3 successes.
We can say so, yes. Yeah. So you recognize the voice as being Arturo's.
Yeah, I wouldn't need to roll because I remember every fucking. Interesting.
Arturo, how nice to speak to you.
What? Who the fuck is this?
I would expect you to recognize a fellow Sabbat member.
Okay. I'm imagining that you killed my boys.
No, but I'm interested in what happened to my packmate.
I don't know about any pack mates of yours.
Well, we're currently trying to understand what happened here because when we arrived here, our newest pack member was a white.
It sure seems like your pack priest is not doing her job correctly. Wait, that's you,
Alright.
isn't it?
Would you like to tell
Anyway,
it to my face?
I would love
Tell me.
to.
Well, don't worry. We'll make our own investigation.
I'm
Is what
sure.
happened.
But before you get all uppity,
Not
I didn't send
uppity.
my boys to kill a fucking Cainite. I sent my
Okay.
boys to clear out a building. I was following
What was the
orders.
issue? What was the issue?
Ask your archbishop.
But clear out the building from whom?
Fuck if I know. I didn't get any details. I just got asked to send a force.
Okay, well...
Did any of my boys survive?
Not really. It was a slaughter here. Had to just put Jim down. But there was some other presences that indicate outside influence of people with ghostly specialities.
I didn't know anything about that. Look,
Well,
I'm just going to report to Victoria that our boys are dead, and so is one of your most recent packmates, who apparently fell into Waysale and wasted most of my boys, I'm assuming. So
we don't know. I will be looking through the boys' corpses.
sure. Well, I expect you to report to Victoria. I'm gonna send in my own report, and if your ass is thrown out of the sect, if you're killed, I don't give a shit. Okay? Just make sure some of my boys survived, and if none did, I guess I'll just report that. But if there are any survivors, send them back, yeah? Anyway, I got shit to attend to.
Yeah. Serena puts the phone down. So Arturo was asked by the Archbishop to clear out this building. I'm going to go and look through the memories of the last corpses.
Should I contact Victoria?
No, let's first do a proper investigation. Go check what Larry has found on cameras or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as Serena kneels down next to one of the bodies, Jack, you walk around and eventually you see a door that's. It basically has a corpse that was moved aside. The door is open, and inside you see Larry. And Larry, what are you doing as Jack finds you?
I'm scrolling through this, finding the exact timestamp the shit went down. Just try to analyze what was happening before, who entered, when the fucking massacre occurred. Like, do you know all the parties that were present,
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
So, looking through the footage, you see that about an hour ago, a few cars parked in front of the building in the parking lot. Out walked all the people that you've seen on the floor dead right now. They made their way inside. As they began shooting up the place, eventually you see Jim trying to escape out the back door. One of the guys pulls Jim in and throws him on the ground. Three of the guys begin beating the shit out of him until Jim manages to push them aside and takes the gun from one of them. He shoots one of his aggressors, and as he turns to the other two, he gets riddled with bullets. And at that point, it's like something snaps in his motions, and it takes him about like one frame of the footage to immediately appear next to one of them and rip his head off. And then he turns to another and begins tearing at his neck. As more guys come in, he rushes out the door, and it's an absolute slaughter. Everyone trying to kill Jim and dying in the process. Eventually, two guys manage to run towards the room you found Jim in. Jim ran towards it, managed to grab one of the guys by the neck and toss him towards the machines. The way he lands, you see him, basically the bottom of his body hit the side of the table and his back sort of bends over it, and then he falls to the ground with his legs sort of crooked, not really being able to move. He struggles to get his gun as the other one gets thrown at the wall, and then Jim appears again with a very quick motion and begins draining him. And at that point, you begin seeing outside your so Serena's vehicle, and then Jack's vehicle, and then you appear. I need both Larry and Jack, since you're looking at the footage, to roll perception and computer.
Was this motherfucker possessed? I asked Jack. Was Jim possessed?
Doesn't seem like a cutesy fucking rage, so probably.
Fuck. Jack, you gotta pull this through.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Alright, so Larry, you don't quite notice, but Jack, as you watch the video, you notice that one of the cameras, specifically the camera to the room you were in, at one point, for a few moments, it desynchronizes with the rest of the footage. The timestamp flicks, and it loses like a minute.
That's some fucking suspicious stuff. You see
When
me?
is this point?
I scroll back.
Tell us.
So basically, what you see is, you know, one of the dudes gets thrown on the machine tables, the other one against a wall, and as Jim chomps down and the other guy tries to shoot him, it's really hard to tell because the positions don't change, but you lose about a minute of footage there. And then you arrive.
Do I know if La Sombra can cause it to happen, or it's something?
Intercult.
Mm-hmm. Intercult. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's possible for some La Sombra to have curses that do this, but it wouldn't be this clean. And it's more obvious that when the La Sombra appears, there wouldn't be a minute of footage missing. There would be a minute of footage that looks very clearly like something entered the footage that doesn't exist. Something along those lines. So whatever happened here, you don't think La Sombra did it.
Message Oswald, ask him if he can restore footage. Because I fucking can't.
Does it even look like digitally edited? Because I doubt it. I think it's some fucking cryptic shit.
With your role, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Look,
Too bad. I'm gonna take the hard drive.
Okay. And as you
Making
do,
sure not to damage it in process.
as you do, you walk outside, and what is Serena doing?
Serena's basically taking the corpses that are, like definitely like all of them torn apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
so
most of
basically
them. There are a couple of bodies in the place where you found Jim that were shot to death, but that's about it.
yeah, so Serena's basically like gathering all the bodies that look not shot to death. Because those need to be disposed of. Then, so she would have been gathering them in one place. Then she looks to the guys. So, what did you find out?
some of the footage is missing from the room where Jim was. About a minute.
Okay, but beyond that,
The boys, as Arturo eloquently put it, went here about an hour ago, started beating Jim up, and then he
snapped. See, right.
I
That
don't know if
hard
it was
drive.
frenzy or something worse.
Well, we're going to. That memory you showed me, it was from Jim, right?
No, it was mine.
Okay.
I saw these two figures on my way here.
Ah, I see. Okay.
How could I show you memory from Jim?
I didn't know you were touching his body. I thought maybe use Auspex on it. I'm
I
going to
don't have
go
Auspex.
and use Auspex on Jim's ashes. Basically, Spirit's Touch.
All right, you can roll for it.
What's the difficulty?
For Spirit's Touch, I believe the difficulty.
No, it's different. It depends on
It's variable.
Yeah, but for this, well, just roll. I won't reveal it. You're again, you're rolling it on
Jim's
ashes.
the Jim's ashes. Okay. Okay. All right. So, as you sift, essentially let your fingers run through the ashes, you focus, and you see flashes in your mind of moments. You see arguments between Jim and his sire. You see moments where Jim captures someone, keeps them locked up. You see moments where he's working on the material with the muffled sounds of his victim's cries coming from the room next to him. You see moments where Jim was driving down the highway, bumping sounds coming from the trunk. You see Jim meeting you and Jack and Larry, Cecil. You see as Jim meets Abel and goes with Jack and Abel into a party, maybe? And then you see the more recent and vivid moments. You see him working, and then someone breaking into his building, shooting up the place. You feel fear. He tries to run out, but he's not able to. And as he's beaten on the ground, something snaps in his head. And the last thing you see him remember is this odd sense of peace and freedom as he runs one of his hands through the neck of one of his aggressors.
Mm-hmm.
Anything interesting?
Well, he snapped. It just.
That's not some fucking frenzy that sends you into the fucking Vassail.
Yeah, but he could have been close to it. It's like he let his beast take over. He was. Look, he was still on humanity, and yet he was. And Iris just like gestures towards the machines in the room. Where there's bits of,
He was fighting against his humanity pretty fucking actively, right?
That is my point, that, look at this. Do you think that he wasn't going on any path, and, heeding warnings is, I guess, not heeding warnings is a common flaw of many Sabbat vampires.
That's why I did.
We need to clean this up, and we need to report to Victoria. I mean, the mortals were mortals, not like they. But my question is, why did she need to clean this place up? I mean, I know it's in a war zone, but Jim seemed to have made a place for his research here. I'll need you with me, Jack. My emotional
No problem at all.
part is, I might say a few harsh words. But we need to clean up first here.
Is there someone still with a bit of blood in?
Huh?
Is there someone still with a bit of blood in? If it so fucking happens, which happens way too much, Ruark or Kian shows up, I need to chill your heart, obviously. And
Well, yes, I mean, there's plenty bodies that you can still drain.
good. Then I'm gonna find me some blood. Gonna taste like shit, but blood is blood.
Okay. So I need you to roll me willpower. Because this is
Permanent?
truly gonna taste rancid. It's like forcing
Permanent
yourself to
or-
drink spoiled
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah, permanent or temporal?
This is gonna be permanent.
Good. This I have.
Okay. So yeah, it tastes like
I can.
absolute crap, but you manage to keep it down until the feeling of sickness goes away. You sort of try to relax your body and just let it sit without pushing it up, and eventually it stays.
It's like eating
sit.
some really exotic food
Yes.
for the first time.
Yes.
How much do I get?
You can fill up, basically.
Yeah. Oh my god. Please, if I ever do this next time, just kick my dignity in the balls, okay?
Okay. Right. I'm gonna call Marcus, see if he can actually send us somebody to deal with this. Plus, he might know more about inside people, so I'm gonna call my ghoul.
Okay. So you call, phone rings. At first he doesn't pick up. The call goes into voice messages. However, as soon as you end the call and begin to prep a text, you receive a call back.
I'll pick it up.
Sorry, boss. Was taking care of unruly guests. I'm running out of generals to run things.
Oh, I see. Well, do you have any cleanup crew?
I got a guy. How big is the job?
How many bodies do I have here, Miguel?
Looking around, you'd say,
No. Only
I
the
know
bodies that were
I know
torn
the
apart.
precise number.
oh,
Only the torn apart ones.
hard to say given the pieces, but you'd wager 15, maybe 20.
15 bodies?
Big job. We busy, boss.
It's oh no. One of our own. We'll have to find out why the fuck did these cunts who serve one of our own come in and attack one of my team members, causing up. Well, that's why they're dead. Well, basically the point is, not all of these bodies need to be removed. Only.
Are we talking general cleanup or
Oh no, there are just some of them that have been torn apart, and we don't really want to be those lying about. The bullet was.
So something to keep secretive.
Low profile.
Appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Got it, boss.
And also, you have your police contacts. Basically, make sure that there's like, I don't know, like find out if there's any police coming. If so, I'll figure out a quicker way to deal with it.
Sure. I'll see if there's any investigations on the area. If not, I think we can just leave it be with the cleanup. If anything's found out,
it's fine. It is a meat processing plant, so there's.
I'll send someone
Okay,
over. Just send me over the address and I'll handle it.
Yeah. I'll send him the address, and then look to Jack. Like, I think we should go talk to Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, could you keep an eye on the area? Or are you coming with us?
I
You know,
think
if
I
our crew
would
gets
want
slapped-
to come with you.
If Arturo gets slapped again, Larry would get pretty satisfied from that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that myself.
Right.
Wait,
Well, pray, my man. And one day,
how do you know that? Why Arturo?
it was his man, his voice on the phone.
He called you?
He called one of the dead. They came. You saw the thing. They came. Basically, according to Arturo, the order came from the Archbishop to clean up the area. But I have a suspicion that it wasn't just the Archbishop.
So, his side of the story is that an archbishop ordered to kill.
No. Larry, stop jumping to conclusions and listen to what I'm saying. I'm really short on my patience right now. He got the order to clean up this building. Period. Now talk about Jim. He sent it his mortal guys. Do you see a single vampire ash pile here, maybe? No. Now the question is why was this executed so sloppily? It is already stressful enough. Stop jumping to conclusions. If you're going to be jumping to conclusions when we go talk there, maybe it's best that you stay here and watch over that police doesn't arrive. Before my cleanup crew gets here.
I'm trying to figure out and
I'm
piece
also
out
trying.
what's going on, and this
So am I.
argument is not helping.
Yeah, well, so am
Let's
I.
keep our tones down and have a talk.
Like I
We and
told-
Jack, what we saw on the tape is
Yes.
that they came and they shot Jim multiple times.
Did he
like-
attack them first, or
He
What?
was trying to escape. They pulled him back in.
I see.
And
Okay.
from what I've seen, it's quite literally his building because of all the, subjects.
Actually,
So-
before the cleanup crew gets here, we should probably take care of that room. Just when I look at those machines there, does it look like I'm going to have like a much quicker way of breaking them in horrid form?
Much, much easier to do it that way, yeah.
Okay. Just give me a couple of minutes, and Serena basically just like goes into the other room, taking off clothes as she goes into the room. And as she gets to the room, basically strip down to the base layer, which is more like a spandex layer, so to say, like very stretchy. She shifts into her horrid form.
So essentially what the two of you see, Jack and Larry, you see Serena sort of hunching, and as she puts her arms to the side, you hear bones stretching, joints cracking, and Serena's body grows in size very, very quickly. As her skin sort of stretches and these odd shapes begin forming, you see Serena becoming something completely different. Serena can give you details, but in terms of size, we're talking a little taller than Larry and almost reaching the size that you've seen Cecil reach when
And that is
growing
actually while she's so her form is, it seems that it's naturally looks like it's always like the knees are bent. Her arms, like her forearms, so from fingertips to elbows, become this sort of like very scimitar looking with other like sharp blades on the edge of the scimitar. These like blades. The same, a kind of shell with similar like blades also appears on her head and around her shoulders. And there's also blades coming out from her upper thighs on the outside. Her feet still remain the same, like she has in her normal form. And the entirety of the skin is just sort of like dark gray, almost black, so to say, like this, like either like leathery skin or hardened bone that looks like sharp as blades. And as she walks, you can also see that those blades, it seems as if they're like a bit vibrating or something. Like, you'd guess that if she's using it to attack, it's meant to work sort of like a saw.
And this creature, basically bracing its arms after the transformation, it cracks its shoulders. And Serena, what do you do?
Well, I just destroy all the machines and things in that room because they need to be destroyed, so to say.
Okay, so you're going to succeed regardless, but roll me strength and athletics so I can judge how fast. In the meantime, Jack and Larry, what are you doing?
I want to go for a smoke.
No, but I can chat.
Sure. I'll go outside.
Mm-hmm.
With cigarette lighted.
And as you leave the room, allowing the sounds of destruction to echo behind you, Jack, you begin lighting a cigarette as you let the door close behind you. And shortly after that, the sounds of destruction from the room stop.
Just fast.
And Serena basically turns back into her usual self and comes out barefoot, picking up her clothes that she dropped, the ones that would have torn in the transformation, putting them back on. Right, the machines are all destroyed. The cleanup crew should take off the rest. Now we just need to go deal with Victoria so that also my people, when they come in here, they don't get harassed by Artur or whoever the fuck else.
As you say this, Serena, your phone rings.
Yeah, who is it?
The number is Victoria's.
Alright, pick it up.
As you pick up the phone, you hear on the other end, Pack Priestess, I do have,
We're about to make our way to you. We finished some preliminary cleanup before...
Of course, if possible.
Yes?
I would like to meet in a more secluded spot. Do you remember the first haven you had?
Yes.
Within my territory.
Of course. The lighthouse.
Yes. We may meet there.
Very well. We do have the recording of this unfortunate incident.
Of course.
Also, I'm going to be sending some of my less than morally ambitious servants to clean up the bodies. Those that are not Silence of Blood friendly.
Of course.
If you would make sure that your gang, like those affiliated with you, don't bother them while they clean up.
Best to keep details
Yes.
in person, if possible.
Of course. I will Serena looks at the map and basically then tells Victoria how long it will get them to get there.
Let's see. It would be about... Lighthouse was around here, right? Yeah, so about an hour.
Be there in about an hour.
Of course.
Well,
And...
then.
Okay, and as you end the call and begin making your way to the vehicles, you basically have about an hour in front of you. How do you spend it?
Well, first of all, I say to Jack and Larry before we lift off, I'm like, it's strange that we're meeting at our lighthouse, which I still own. But then again, Victoria is, according to all my knowledge that I've gained and divined, she is a loyal Sabbat member, but we do know that some of the people she keeps around are not loyal to the
Unsavory,
Sabbat.
to say
Yes.
the least.
But nonetheless, we should be just prepared in case. But I'm actually gonna draw a card
Mm-hmm.
about this meeting. Basically, why is it held in a separate location, right?
Okay.
Should we expect any, like backstabbing? And yeah, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. You may roll.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 to divine, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to interpret. Please give me all the T's that the card give me.
Okay. So, what is the specific
need for-
question?
So, why does Victoria want to meet separately? Is there any, underhanded game? Like, basically, she trying to double cross us or something, like ambush us? And why did this attack happen on Jim's, location, so to say?
Okay. So,
And you don't need to give me card names.
I would
because-
rather, because it fits into this. So,
Okay, fine.
you mix up the cards and you focus on this question. You cut the deck and you pull a card. And you're met with this scene of storms upon storms surrounding this forest. And from the forest, being currently hit by waves from the ocean, rising through the storm is an imposing tower. Flames coming out the top of it. And above that tower, an all-seeing eye shining with a blinding light. You draw the tower. And immediately what this screams to you is not that Victoria's trying to fuck you over. It's that whatever the fuck is going to happen, it will cause unbridled chaos in the city.
Uh-huh. Okay.
At least what the consequences of meeting Victoria will cause chaos in the city.
Okay. Do I don't just draw one card and that's the answer to all 3 of my questions?
If you want to draw more, you can to clarify.
Why did Arturo, why was Jim targeted?
You draw another card, and you are met with the image of a fellow juggling some colorful, stuffed balls, dressed like a jester with clown paint on his face. You seem to have drawn the Fool, which is pretty self-explanatory in regards to Arturo.
Okay. Well, it
Isn't the fool the
seems
guy with a dog?
not only that, it's
Yeah. Yeah, it pretty much depends on the deck.
well, either way, I don't think there's any backstabbing involved. Like we're not drawn there to be picked off. But
Can
it
you
seems
imagine if Arturo is with
Arturo might be guilty in whatever happened. Either way, let us go.
Yeah.
Maybe you should. You know. Tell Vicus.
I'm sure he already knows about it.
You never know. Better safe than sorry.
Jumping on the same shovel, don't you?
Just a second.
We got only one reliable ally. So it's better not to take chances here.
Okay, I will send a text to Vicus and
As you begin writing, you feel a crack on your thumb, moving it away from the phone.
They are already aware, so let us go and deal with it.
Hello, most reverend.
Okay.
Does Larry say that to me?
Yes.
She really just sort of rolls her eyes. And for the first time in the whole of the night, she cracks like a little like half smile at Larry's antics.
Okay.
Well, then let's go.
You're the gift that keeps on giving, Larry. But consider the fucking pass, okay?
So, as you make your way to the lighthouse, the ride is slow, to say the least. It feels like it lasts 3 hours, even though it lasts 1. And as you begin driving in the dirt road leading up to the abandoned park, you see, parked right near the lighthouse, is what looks like a white van with a spray-painted skeleton dressed as the Virgin Mary. And resting in front of it, sort of sitting on the front of it, playing with what looks like a pocket watch in her hand, is Victoria.
Basically gathers herself, like her mind for a moment, and then gets out of the car and approaches Victoria.
Yeah.
Your Excellency.
Victoria immediately stands up as you begin approaching, reaches into her pocket, and hands you a folded piece of paper.
Serena takes it and opens it.
It's an address.
I look to Victoria questioningly.
I didn't know what was in that slaughterhouse, but I had a feeling the Sabbat would be worse off for doing this. Regardless, I had to do this. I owed Delmont a debt, and I couldn't come out of that deal.
Yeah.
Unless
By
this
the way,
was done.
By the way, Miguel, Serena last time, she would by now she'd have the ring, right? So Does it seem like Victoria still has the markers on her hands?
No longer.
Serena looks to her hand, and then to Victoria. And then, well, you no longer have his servants spying
No.
on you.
He expects to meet me at that address in 3 nights. I advise you prepare thoroughly and dispose of the bastard.
I have
With
to,
great
because
pleasure, Your Excellency.
I have to. I will avenge Cecil for what Delmont did.
And I just made a deal for his head, so
Either way, Jack did see some of the specters, and we have been recently harassed by some of them.
I see. I might be able to provide some assistance with this, but I am no expert.
This is personal. This is personal. And we do have some assistants within Sabbat that can aid us.
Very well. Speaking of personal and assistance, as soon as I parked my vehicle here, I got a phone call. Whatever you do to destroy that rotten walking cadaver, be sure to contact Vicus. They want in.
Yes, I'm sure.
expected.
I'm sure they're aware of the situation.
They're not just aware. For some reason, they are so interested in this. They're making their way here to LA.
Ooh.
What?
As in right now.
As in, they're on a plane right now.
I see.
That's even better.
That is certainly helpful. Given the likes of which Delmont hangs with, as a crucial piece of evidence was recovered by him instead of making it its way into Vicus's hands, given that those bastards have infiltrated our ranks too much.
What do you mean, infiltrated our ranks?
Well, don't you think it's weird how it is Jim being attacked, me and Cecil get constantly hounded at every moment, and Arkan is working with one of those same masked ones, and they know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing.
I had people look into this. We don't have anyone infiltrating us. This is a mixture of really bad luck, really poor political decisions made by some of my underlings, and a good number of bad actors within the Anarch movement.
Well, here's the thing. I had a piece of evidence. That piece of evidence had spiritual resonance that should have made it into the Black Hand's hand or into Priscus's Vicus's. They came and stole it, and it was most likely Delmont who was working with somebody on the inside.
In that case, we'll kill him and get that evidence back. But until then,
I know.
I cannot believe you on this.
I know.
We have very prestigious Sabbat members saying the exact opposite.
I am aware. That's why it was a big strike that the axe was taken away.
I don't even know if the axe existed. I've never seen it. So,
it was a...
Given...
Your Excellency, we are not gonna make any baseless claims.
Good. Keep it that way. I expect you to show up with evidence, or Delmont's head. Regardless, I'll be a very, very happy Archbishop.
You will be getting both. Do not worry.
Also...
Eventually. Delmont's head most likely first.
Of course. And I should also mention, I should also mention, Santa Monica's leadership has been tumultuous lately. I think very soon you should move in and claim the place before some others do.
Of course. Of course.
That's
I
entirely
don't
fine with us.
trust Isaac to rule that place.
Mm, You mean the
He's
preacher?
throwing his head into the ring.
He's been after
Like,
it the entire time.
well,
Before, he was cold, calculated, idealistic, but capable. Now he's a
not
mad
broken.
preacher threatening the lives of everyone around him.
Yes, we do have a way to deal with that. Either way, we'll bring the Dilmon's head first because that man has too many of his fingers in different pies. He's too dangerous.
I imagine killing him might stir things up significantly. So
Yes,
be ready for the
and
fallout once it does happen.
of course. Either way, um, if you wanted to know, Jim tried to escape, but Arturo's boys grabbed him back in. He snapped at some point, and only after they beaten him to near death did he lose his last self. His blood was recovered, and my cleanup crew should take care of the bodies that are not riddled with bullets.
I wish I could say that this was surprising, but let's be honest, he didn't have the most stable hobby for one of her kind.
No, he didn't, and he didn't exactly heed warnings to go first on a path before proceeding him, even though
Even back in the
he
Camarilla, he
was.
was like this.
Toreadors are quite
Pathetic.
tumultuous. It's not the word I was
Impulsively
looking for,
obsessive.
but it is quite ironic that they call the Malkavians the mad ones.
Do keep in mind
Is-
that is one of the reasons why I can't accept your claims without evidence.
No, I was, after all, a prince while working for the Sabbat. I know how the game works.
Good.
Far better than any shovelhead. Only
Good.
fools think that the sword exists without politics. So I'm aware of what kind of evidence and proof we need to bring.
It is a sad truth, but one we live with. Now,
Uh,
you best
yes.
make your way. I have to continue preparing this area for one of my future plans.
The lighthouse area?
Yes.
Well, I still hold the deed if you want it.
It would be helpful, but I don't absolutely need it. It's not like my forces haven't used this area before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can send it over to your office.
Of course.
The deed, and you can organize the rest.
Of course. We will be embracing new troops very soon. This is where it will take place. Once that happens, if you want to contribute, do voice your interest. I'll keep you posted. Regardless,
Right.
get to work, prepare, and murder that bastard for all of us.
We will.
Good.
Of course.
And she,
Have a good night, Your Excellency.
Good night, Your Excellency.
without much of an answer, she simply turns, and as she walks towards the end of the park, instead of going to her van, you almost see the shadows slithering towards her as out of every hidden corner of the area, snakes begin to follow Victoria's movements.
Mm-hmm. And after that, Serena basically takes a car and like looks to Larry and says, "We're going to meet back at the Haven."
I'm probably gonna finish the business with Johnny if he's not done.
All right.
Can I take a look at the address? I need to inform our
Yeah.
friend about it.
Yeah. Serena shows you the address.
Mm-hmm.
And before driving off, I'll spend a couple of minutes to shadow a message to Freya. This address, 3 nights, head on a platter, is guaranteed.
I'll make a note. And as you begin to make your way out, we will end our session there. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.